back. This is the Poet Is a Human with the Philosopher Dunamis on this week's episode number 41, Fight to Adapt. Please be sure to hit that like button on your way in, and if you like us, consider subscribing to keep up with our episodes on YouTube and give us a follow on X.
Fightcast is here to empower individuals to live healthier, master finances, pursue dreams, and inspire others through self-awareness and global impact. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and not financial advice.
And don't just listen, be a part of the movement. Join our Discord with the link or our QR code and step into the fight with us.
Yes, absolutely. How you doing, Izzy? How's your week been, buddy?
It's been a really busy, productive week. Shout out to the team. Shout out to the SLR. Shout out to Samuel Hogan, which we'll be chatting with here later on.
Yeah.
Shout out to we've been putting in a lot of work and just an excellent job, man. It's been great. I've been very optimistic this week. Been in the studio, been learning a lot of things, and yeah, dude, there's a lot of awesome things coming along, us included. How are you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been super busy for me too. We're working closer to closing on the land,
Nice.
and been
Very
getting
nice.
things together for that. And yeah, basically we've been working and planning and adapting. There's a lot of stuff that I think we expected to have happen in Cardano between, when we started this podcast to now. And
Hmm.
rather than getting impatient about things, I've just been focused on what I can control, the things that the plans and the goals that I have in my life for my family. And it's wild seeing that stuff start to come together. And then also I just have to say, because it has to do with how I'm feeling this week with what happened to Charlie Kirk,
Mm.
what's going
Mm.
on in the political discourse in this country is very frightening. And it's this is part of the reason why I think I wanted to homestead, is because it doesn't always feel safe anymore.
Yeah, right. It's much bigger than what the optics are being framed to be. It's more about safety and our ability or inability to speak on things that we have convictions about. And, from human to human, this should definitely reroute the conversation, but not in the ways that it has traditionally been routed. I think this calls for a revised look into
Yeah.
today's current.
The discussion has just gotten it's gotten closed off. And you know there was a time when I was growing up where I felt like people could discuss things, they could agree to disagree,
Hmm.
and it wouldn't come to blows. I could even call somebody a jerk, or much worse things, and
Right,
you could walk away.
right.
I think we're getting to the point where that's not. It doesn't feel like that's as realistic anymore.
It's become very much like an unrealistic movie where especially the extremes of it, when you think about all of it, and the final resort turns into the first thing. And there's a lot of things that we can dive into a rabbit hole about as to why I personally think violence has just been so nonchalant and more prevalent than it needs to be. And we could talk about statistics and what have you, but this isn't that. But nonetheless, this will also go back into our discussion about our community. If you want to follow back on to that episode to refer, But yeah, all of it, chain effect for sure. And this is a human being who had his opinions, and he went into other communities and was able to have an open dialogue, whatever you guys want to call it, whatever the optics they want to bring to it. These are just open dialogue, and some were productive, I'd imagine we'd say, and some were not as productive as some would say. But regardless, there was still that opportunity, and I feel that there needed to be multiple platforms that were like that, even if it was on the oppositional ground. And it could have become something where now we have a bigger lens to look at, where now we have the biggest person over here and the biggest person over here having this, head to head, one on one, kind of thing where, we bought the best, we brought the best ons to parties. And I think that in a way, and people may disagree with me, but fight me in the comments, that this was a good way for nations to have a focus on them. So now we can look at the true potential of presidency elections. Truth, I think that this is a really good time for us to shift our focus from, no offense Donald Trump, but I mean, dude, man, he's 70 something years old, like when have we had like a 40 some year old? And I don't, and yeah, I think you have to be in your 40s to run for president, correct?
There's definitely laws written in that require a certain minimum age before you're
Mm-hmm.
eligible to run for president.
Yeah. But
And
yeah, but I digress. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just gets much
it's
deeper than that.
it does. Being one of those guys who probably just hit the age limit to be able to run, I would never have a desire, but it is kind of crazy that yeah, there's a whole generation of people that seem to be hanging on and not letting go. And when we talk about the people in power in politics and whatnot, I just want to say that this is a really, I'm excited about this episode, mostly because we're talking to Shaggy Rax, and that's going to be exciting. I think he epitomizes the um, the type of person that he wouldn't say so, but is very adaptable, can roll with the punches, and with everything that's going on in the country, but also the questions in crypto and crypto projects and everything going on, we can't rely on one thing. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. You have to
Right.
be able to adapt and change as things come in. And so, what do you think about being able to talk to Shaggy Rex today, man?
It's really cool because, for one, it's just going to feel like another day in the office. And this is, I feel like this is also a good opportunity for Shaggy to, jump on here and just talk about the things that we've been building here in the back. And just, there's been so much growth and there's been so much development that's been going on that I think it's good to open up that next page, in the chapter of what we're cooking up. And you're gonna see for me personally, seeing from survival to living, and that's another end of it that I'm very, very proud of. So I'm very, very excited to talk to my brother.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know he recently moved, and you know the stuff that's gone on in Cardano, I haven't even really kept up with it. To be fair, I know I see a lot of stuff recently, and even still that comes across my X feed. I know I should probably be paying more attention, but that's a big part of just I think paying attention to the things that we can control, you know.
Sure. Yeah, and shout out to Mr. E for being our D rep. He's been the one that's been keeping us in the loop, and Shaggy, of course, he gets the information and he presents it to us, and we'll have those conversations. I'm like you in the space where I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily tapped out, but I'm definitely in the mindset where, just from an adaptability standpoint, this isn't something that I look at, and I know that you feel the same way. It's not about the currency for me. It's not about making millions of dollars off of this. We're building foundations and definitely developing cores within these communities. So it's much deeper than that. And so, with all that being said, like the longevity aspect of what crypto really offers is, the biggest asset to me. In our music and our artists, we've got we've got a way, and um, I think that's there's a lot to be said with that too, and just being able to flow this way and flow this way, and that's how we wanted it. Building multiple facets. Some are short term, some are midterm, some are long term, but I think that's what it takes to be a successful business.
Yeah, there has to be value created, right?
Yeah.
And the value is in all of the unique things that we bring to the table, and in Solidity Records with you and with Shaggy Rax, it's music, and with some of the endeavors that I have planned in the future, it's probably going to be some form of food, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
but the value, the thing where I think a lot of people got messed up with crypto is exactly right. We're talking about money, right? You're
Hmm.
talking about things like gold or silver or even Bitcoin and ADA. You're talking about money. You're not talking about enterprise. We're not
Right.
talking about businesses and things that really, the money itself is an interesting story, but what you can build is much more interesting. I would much rather talk about music. I would much rather talk about um, food and
Yeah.
fermentation and raising chickens and livestock and
Hmm.
those kinds of things than ones and zeros moving across and a network. It's
Right.
the crypto. I think part of it is, and for the nerd in me, there's definitely really interesting aspects to it, but it really is just there's going to be very interesting things in the future where we can prove, mathematically prove that something happened at a particular point in time. There are things that will be
Hmm.
locked in the blockchain that we will know as an absolute fact. And in a day and age now when we really don't know truth from what's not true in many cases, I think there's going to be a lot of value in that. But in the current, like right here and now, there's there's a lot that crypto hasn't had a chance to really fulfill yet. And so, we're still so early. It's incredible to say, but in terms of crypto, we're early, and even in terms of the next wave of music, I think you guys are early. I think you guys are setting yourselves up for big success, you know. And I don't know, man, I'm super excited for what we're doing outside of crypto, as well as how we're going to incorporate crypto into it.
And I mean, even looking at how long you've been involved in this in the community, a little bit longer here, and just seeing all of the effort and the hard work that you've put in, and to see where it's at now, and us encountering you, and just, I don't want to give away too much. I'm gonna wait for Shaggy to jump on here and talk a little bit more about this, but yeah, just some more things that are cooking.
Well, definitely, man. Regarding adaptation, I know that you and I have both been in the Cardano community for a while.
Hmm.
And what what do you think it takes for the music industry and Cardano to adapt to be able to function together. I know here before we bring Shaggy on to talk about it some more, um,
Mhm.
do you do you think it's going to be difficult to onboard more artists, or is there something that needs to happen really before we get that excitement in music on Cardano again?
I think you got to put emphasis on giving the artist their IP. And that's what gets lost in the sauce a lot with the bigger industries is the label owns a big portion of these artists masters, and there's no incentive for the artist. So you put an artist in a community where all of these things are transparent to them and they're a part of that process, then the onboarding is going to be a lot more in flow state, and you're going to have a lot more people that are going to be lined up for that opportunity to be able to see how their songs can really be utilized in so many different areas. And you have a community of people that are all over the place that are creating, developing so much that the syncing could be such a big part of this community more than any of it. And then, of course, your NFTs, the exclusivity that can create value for these artists is it's so huge, and it's always been much bigger than. I get what Spotify was trying to do in the beginning in getting all of the artists out there and giving them a platform, but it's grown past that now. So we're seeing that 0.006 something for whatever it's like 300 streams to get you $1 or
Yeah.
something like that, and we know now that's ridiculous because our music is worth much more than that because I can sell a single on Amazon for $1.
It makes so much more sense. I think I've always felt like you need to get back to the point where the model is an album model. When in the 80s and the 90s, when I was growing up, you had a very successful model that was singles being released on the radio and on MTV. People would get to know you from your music videos or your song on the radio, but then if they really liked you, they had to go buy the album. And so you're
Right.
spending $10, $15 at the record store. You buy that album and you go home and you listen to it on repeat until a year or two passes, and then that artist releases another album. You can go and buy that album and listen to it as well. And so
Right.
in order to get back to that model, that model broke with digital copying of music, with Napster, with that whole mindset that you could take an MP3 and copy it and send it around, broke that model, and that's where you ended up with Spotify and all of these systems now. And so I really do feel like crypto is going to help us get back to that model where you're still going to discover an artist a song at a time. You don't really ever listen to albums anymore anyways. People go to Spotify and listen to these singles, and it's just the whole system is corrupt, and it devalues everything. And so we get back to that model where now, in order to be able to listen to your album, I have to buy it from you using using some crypto device in order to be able to listen to it, my through my wallet or however that is. But once that exclusivity comes back, I get to listen to all of your music because I like all of your music, and I want to pay to listen to all of your music without it necessarily being available on these other free listening services like Spotify and stuff like that. So that's where I think the incentives need to be realigned from a fan's point of view. A fan doesn't mind spending that $10 or $12 every couple of years on the band they really like.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm sure the band doesn't get mind getting paid that $10 to $12 from all of their fans, when they release an album. And so that needs to happen again. And I'm looking forward to it happening, but it still can't happen with NFTs today, the way that I described it, where you have to buy it to be able to listen to it. Book.io has something similar, but you'd still have to use their app, go through their service, their listening controls and all of that sort of stuff, to have it decrypted. And that's where I don't know. I don't know if stuff like that, midnight might make something like that possible, but who knows,
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
And I hope we do get those ironed out. And I think like when you put that into perspective, and then even not only are you, using crypto as a form of currency to, buy something, from this artist, then like bringing the vinyls back, or even bringing the cassette back, and bringing that limited, the art that you get with the NFT is like this too for the 58. It's like that bundle package, and again, it's just like that incentive too. And you're the only person with this. It's nowhere else. It's not on any streaming platform. Like, this is it. This is the one of one right there. And that builds value. And I know that that's what they initially wanted. They want to build value. And that's the purpose of the NFT, is to have value out of these things. And I think like when you combine the tangible with the exclusivity, it's I feel like it's a win-win. But I feel like we just need to reintroduce that narrative, and I feel like we got to be in front of some more people too. I think that's also a part of the equation as well.
Yeah, I think NFTs for live events, as tickets for live events, is going to be one of the next big hot things to do. So, I would be excited to see maybe, you know, something like that to happen also in the future. There's crypto is going to make its way back into things, but this idea of buying a picture of something on the internet and then that making you rich. I mean, I'm hopefully that idea has long passed, because
I hope so.
even if there's some of that for collectors, there's very collectible items, and some of that stuff will definitely still be worth money. But I think we need to be thinking about crypto in a very utility focused way. What
Yeah.
can we do? How can we make value for our customers, and make it easier to interact with us, and purchase the things that they want to purchase, and make their lives better. So
Absolutely.
well, we're just about getting to that point where, in that, do you think we should be bringing Shaggy Racks online?
Yeah. Let's bring him from behind the Iron Curtain and see if he's ready. I'm sure he is. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado.
Yeah, dude, good times, man. Well, I think this is a good time to segue into this, but speaking of cultivating a growth mindset, and crypto's it's been a bit stagnant, but the next gentleman that I'm about to introduce, I have a bunch of respect for this gentleman. He is my business partner. He's the co-owner of the Finest LLC, Solidity Records, crypto enthusiast, activist, a little bit of an agitator, young entrepreneur, Samuel Hogan, Shaggy Racks, ladies and gentlemen. We got him in the building.
Yeah.
We got him in the building.
Awesome.
Yes.
Glad to be
What's
here.
up, man? I'm not even gonna act like I haven't talked to you like 5 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago. Like we've been chatting, y'all. We've been working, but this is a good time for me to just ask him the questions and let him break it down. And of course, we're gonna tie this back into adapting, because man, that's what we've been doing these past few years is adapting. So yeah, bro, what's up? Tell them what we're working on. What's the current projects? And yeah.
Well, as of today, September 11th, 2025, when we're recording this, we've got a project on the way right now from our good buddy Hakeem Harmony. That's coming out tomorrow. It actually goes live at midnight tonight. It'll be a single called Stop It with a music video. Pretty excited about that. It's our first time getting to work with pretty big music video creator from our side of town, a cat I grew up with. So it's kind of cool getting to see that community, I guess, ROI in a way,
Yeah.
So that's been dope. I've been working on a lot of publishing stuff, as you know, long hours into the night, dealing with paperwork mess. Some pretty exciting phone calls and conversations online happening. But Solidity, we've definitely had to adapt to a few things, but in a way, I think we've maintained the goals and focus. Um, like I guess our core interests haven't really changed that much. We've just had to adapt to the ever-changing environment around us and circumstances within.
Yeah, and we were definitely into the crypto hard, man. I would say for that first year, we really went in, and that was the aim. That was just, yeah. Those were a lot of where our targets were going.
So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's really it reminds me that's you introduced me and Izzy, Shaggy. It was and really you've been involved in Cardano and in this altcoin crypto stuff for basically as long as I have, back right when Six City was kicking off and doing
Yep.
his thing, and Jimmy there at Six City. It's interesting that the music is always central to what you're doing. It's core to what you're doing, and it still is, and that's good to see. So
Almost like a return to the roots is kind of how I feel right now. It's funny you brought that up. I'll start with that if that's all right with you, Izzy, and just
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely. Yeah,
take
absolutely.
people on a tour of our little journey through crypto.
Yeah.
A bit about myself. I'm 27. Um, I was born in Virginia, but raised in Memphis. Military kid, moved around a lot early on, but I kind of settled down by high school in two places: my grandparents in Louisiana, and then my home in Memphis. Um, I went out and joined the military and got back way before my contract was supposed to be up. Had my little medical discharge and everything. So, not early on, my first attempt at doing something with my life already didn't, pan out the way I had intended. So I had to pivot. And because of the way I lived early on, I had burned a lot of bridges. So the adaptation started young, pretty early on, like right out of school. So music was something that kind of fell in my lap, like a lot of things in life. Um, I had good friends growing up through high school that really were into music. I played instruments as a kid, learned how to play piano pretty young, read sheet music. I'm a drummer by heart. Like I love drums. I don't play professionally, never have, never performed or anything like that. It's just something I've enjoyed. Music played a big role in my life. So about 2019, me, Hakeem, and some buddies of mine were hanging out in my RV. And man, I'm 21 at the time. We have a singer, rapper, artist guy. We have a producer. And I like doing paperwork. I don't know why. So
Yes, he does.
at the time, I was working a sales and marketing job, inside sales. I was selling door hardware, and I was pretty good at selling door hardware. So um, I found a knack for like Excel spreadsheets and paperwork, data entry, that kind of stuff. I figured just one night on a whim, the three of us should start a record label. I know Izzy's story with The Finest is in parallel to this. This is one of the reasons why, for those who don't know, Solidity Records is The Finest. The Finest is Solidity Records. We have become as one because, man, that backstory, just three guys, different talents. Hey, we need to do this together.
Facts.
Because
Facts.
it's, we see what the industry's doing. We hear the stories. Yeah, we're trying to make it in music too, but I don't want all these people stealing me and my friends' hard-earned money, right?
Yeah.
We got to do this ourselves. So that was the thought, you know. I was a troubled young man, still am, honestly. Knock on wood. None
He's
crazy.
healing. He's healing.
Yeah.
Come on.
I
Yeah.
got myself into a fair bit of trouble between 2019 and 2022 when I got out of prison. So uh, I got out of prison in like beginning of 2022. I think it was like January. I was introduced to Cardano in February. I had a buddy of mine that maintained communication with me my whole time being locked up, and he really encouraged me to check this out in letters. My first hearing of Cardano was actually in letters. I probably have them somewhere. Uh, wrote the word down Cardano as one of the blockchains to check out. Um, so I got out and right back to work. You know, I had the music studio equipment. I went and picked up from my guy who had it the whole time I was locked up. The laptop full of projects, this and that, checking in with all the artists I wanted to work with. And we still got a lot of these guys around today. That's super dope, you know? So um, Jimmy from Six City was who my buddy Baby K told me to check out. That was really how I found Cardano. Uh, Ironically, Cardano at the time, 2021, 2022, had like the earliest adaptations of a music protocol. Every blockchain had music NFTs, but the concept of a music protocol that covers the royalty rights and the needs of music artists was started before we got there. And I want to highlight that first. We have built on the shoulders of giants here in Cardano. The listening room.
Just barely, though. I'll say that NFTs came around. I mean, the time frame that you're talking about here was right about when NFTs were brand new.
Yes.
On Cardano, and SIP60 was very, very early on.
Yes.
Adaptation
later. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I do thank you for bringing that up. You know, I came in at the very tail end. And by the way, when I say I came to Cardano, Izzy knows I didn't just come to Cardano. I came and brought the guys. We had everybody.
The guys to Cardano.
We had like 20, 30 people we was on board and on the regular. Like this is like we'd go to the neighborhood and just be outside smoking weed, like bullshitting, doing dumb shit. And hey, download this wallet right here. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna send you some. Stake to Six City Music, Stateful, SCM. That's what we was doing. We was really like out there doing all that, you know? And that's how we, you know, we saw the passion of people. We heard the reason I say we were standing on the shoulders of giants, man, it's not necessarily what they had built at the protocol level. Because as you know, as a music consumer early on, it sucked. Everything sucked. It still sucks. A lot of it. Like, we can do better. But it's the ideas, I think, that they had got to build out and flesh out early on that hooked guys like me and Izzy on these concepts. Right. There's no way you would have convinced me I needed blockchain in anything I was doing for business if it wasn't for like the minds of RC at the listening room, Disguise, Juice, Jimmy early on. I'll even throw like Ryan Jones from Noom, like the concepts, Theoscape, a bunch of the guys over like Demu, Soundrig, Sonny from Soundrig, man, like these guys had these ideas and they wanted to see a more free and user artist controlled music ecosystem. 60% of music royalties do not get claimed and end up pocketed by the PROs. That's the US. It's probably worse elsewhere outside of maybe Europe.
Crazy.
Yeah. So we were able to really quickly latch on in the early ideas of like the record label and fleshing these out. Hey, this could definitely be like useful for us in the future. We didn't even exactly know how, but we knew that hearing these sort of guys talk about it, and we knew from the challenges we faced in the music industry early on that a more transparent, artist-controlled music ecosystem is definitely something we need. Otherwise, teams like The Finest and Solidity Records would have never been started to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We geared a lot into the education aspect of it, and we're still doing that.
Heavy. Yeah, because we're teaching ourselves stuff every day. We're teaching each other stuff every day. Our resources just grow and grow and grow, and a lot of it, man, even partnership wise. Like Solidity Records is not a brand on Cardano. I think you'll see plastered everywhere. We don't look for partners like that, though. We're looking for places we can find more knowledge, tools, resources. If it's not something like that, like we love supporting projects that are driving volume. Aside from that, does the chain work for what we needed to? Yep. Let's get these transaction fees and the menu TXO a little bit lower. That would help with micro payments for auto royalties. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Please, Cardano, please. We're begging you. Please.
Yeah.
Don't make us go to an L2. Ah.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
Speaking of L2s, though, the idea of midnight has been talked about a lot here recently, and I know there's this the midnight claim window and all that stuff is open. By the way, just as a public service announcement to our listeners, if you are not aware of midnight and you are in the Cardano ecosystem, look into that. We'll put a link in the description so that you can go and claim your night tokens. But I've always been sort of kind of waiting for midnight to come around, because I've always felt like having privacy or being able to encrypt some of the data is kind of key to what maybe to make things really possible for music. You have to be able to keep certain things private, right? And I don't know exactly what possibilities are out there, but I feel like things are going to start to accelerate a bit more with midnight and music.
I haven't honestly explored midnight as a music protocol option. Not a particular reason for that. Just in general, for music and music applications, you'll see that not even just Web3, but Web2 as well. Hashing is usually the standard for protecting your IP and ensuring like it's playable across multiple databases. So Cardano's hashing capability, we use IPFS largely. There's a few other storage solutions you can use. You can locally host stuff and hash it. But in general, anything that would be required to be private would probably be hashed in some form or fashion, So if midnight, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that too much. With IPI numbers in publishing, they're tied to your social security number, at least in America. This allows them to pay you and ensure that you're paying taxes, right? So I guess if they were to get on-chain applications that were handling and managing themselves as a PRO, Izzy, write this down. We need to think about this, actually.
Copy.
Yeah,
There you go.
that could be where midnight would be essential. You would need the privacy factor of it. The problem then becomes how to vet what applications are granted visibility of that data, because there are applications that would need it, right?
Yeah. And there's
Otherwise it's not streamlining anything, because right now we're having to okay, I'll register. And my apologies for cutting you off, John, but this is just kind of like the frame of reference for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're having to register compositions in one place, written and like the beat type deal. You register the song as a whole separately. So like the recorded version of the song separately.
Yep.
Then you have to be a member of certain organizations to collect certain royalties.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, you're having to re-enter the same stuff once they assign you codes to your distributor when you're then going to all platforms. So if crypto and Web3 solutions aren't going to streamline this, ironically centralize it, that's what they need right now. Like the music industry does not need any more decentralizing of anything. It is too fragmented and too complex and complicated for most artists to capture all their royalties.
Yeah.
It needs to be solutions here, right? So
we've seen the diagram that Mr. E showed us of
awful. The spaghetti diagram,
Yeah,
the spaghetti
yeah.
monster. That's what we call it.
Uh-huh.
We call it the music industry spaghetti monster because it's
Mhm.
a giant interconnected web of mess where label royalties are collected one way and distributed to them. Certain royalties and copyrights are only granted to artists and composers. It's ridiculous. And then all the different royalty types are managed by different agencies.
Mhm.
That's just in America. We're as Izzy knows, we're going through the process to register to be a publisher in Canada because that's separate, by the way. It's all.
Mhm. Another part of the web.
We got one Canadian producer, and I'm having to get a bank account in Canada. This sucks, bro.
Be careful, they can shut those down.
I know.
Right.
You got to deal with the devil sometimes, bro. It's like adapt, right?
Yeah.
I really want to release this Canadian producer's music. It's good. It like reminds me of middle school. I get the goosebumps when it plays. I'm gonna jump through the hoops to do it. You know? So
Yeah. And I
no,
feel like
it's
it's worth knowing too, more than
yes.
anything. And that's going to be a good streamline for us and everything that we have in our core documents that we can refer back to when these terms get updated because they always get updated.
I got to. Yeah.
If I have a bit of a question, and it's a little off topic, but if it's okay for me to ask, I know that you moved.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about that. Your move out of state. What's you're in Florida now?
Yes.
What's that
Warm,
like, man?
sunny Florida, peaceful.
That's awesome.
Peaceful. And I don't know. I feel like I've been able to exercise a few demons out here. You know, get some shit, some monkeys off my back, so to speak. Uh, I know you've been around the Solidity guys enough to know like Memphis is not a good place to be right now. Um, Maybe like 20 years ago, but it's just in my lifetime I've watched as the city has kind of descended into some levels of chaos. People feel like they live in Gotham in Memphis, and speaking from experience, it don't feel good to be a Gotham City citizen. It feels good to be a Lake County resident in Florida. This feels awesome. Like
Nice.
just the resources are better, the public spaces are nicer, people are in general out and about more. There's more community events. It's just it was a much needed move.
I feel like
You
the
know,
mentality was different. Well, you were in Memphis, just in the
it
sense of
was
our
survival.
urgency of doing things. Yeah, it was the survival versus the living. That was the biggest thing. And we made a lot of good moves, but just in the sense of like why we were making those moves. I said it offline before, but it was like it was manic in a way because of the unpredictabilities that we just didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow. There was just so much happening with all of us, and we were still growing. And I mean, we're still growing now, but we weren't as mature then as we are now.
There
And
was an existential set of pressures on us.
yeah,
And there
yeah,
still is for some of our guys. I think it's important to note as well here, man. Like, if you guys, the viewers largely, if you guys ever see me and Izzy, and even some of the cats around us that maybe didn't even live in Memphis or come from Memphis, move with certain urgency or passion, I don't think it's a foul for me to say, like, dude, there's a survival mentality still in SLR. Like it hurts us too. It bites us in the ass sometimes, but there is a sense of urgency, and we have people we are desperately working on getting elevated in life, or they may die where they are. That's just not. It's not an option for a lot of us. It's not, and I know I'm blessed. I got family that had already moved out of state. I live with my parents now, and I love it. I wouldn't move out if they told me to. I'd be like, hell no, ma, evict me. What? Y'all cook too good.
Yeah.
And I haven't had time with my family in years and years and years. I was a rebellious teenager. So being able to be like an adult, still have my parents, that's a blessing. My parents are a little older anyways. And then, I have time to kind of like mend those relationships, the bridges I burned early on. Um, Lost my grandma back in December, so that's been, you know how those things go. You lose somebody like that, it kind of brings the family together or it rips them apart. And for me, it was kind of like a leaning in time. I yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
sorry to hear that, man.
I mean, it's life. She was she lived a long time and was so ready to go. We called her Grandma Grump. She was she was so, she I love her. I love her to death. Uh, but man, I think with Solidity, we got a past and we got a history to us and a certain swagger that comes with that. But we're hungry for knowledge, and I think Cardano. Another reason we latched on so hard to Cardano, John, was guys like you particularly, but I can name dozens. Steve Lockhart, Tony from Lad Swag, Gabriel, Slim from Stripper Coin, like Jimmy. Like there's been a lot of people. Randall from Demu, you know, these guys have just latched onto us and elevated us and like seen that hunger for knowledge, and for whatever reason y'all gave us the grace to just learn and be around and interact. And I say this a lot even in my Discord with my guys. A lot of us are younger. One of the reasons why Izzy plays such a critical role, I think, in Solidity is because he is a little bit older than a lot of my guys, and you know he can resonate with certain things, but at the same time, that order. And sometimes we need that to come from older guys, older men, you know, mentors. And in Cardano specifically, we found mentors in Cardano. That's what's kept us here this whole time. We're loyal to people.
Mm. Yeah.
That's a big highlight right there, man. That is a big highlight. And to piggyback off of that, being in the position that Sam and I are in now, where we have the mentality of it's not survival for us and we are able to live. The mentality is like we've been able to adapt differently in how we look at this stuff, but looking at the guys that we have to, like, it's not an option that we have to bring. We have to bring. And they want to as well, but man, those cycles are hard to break. They really are. There's just certain loops, man, and they're gonna repeat themselves at a constant until eventually. But we know the type of influence that we have on these guys and just what we've done in the community too. So I don't see failure, but those are always, but like he said, we still have those survival instincts within us. So, there's always, just a small feeling of doubt, just in the sense of not like the company succeeding, but what if
Are
we
we gonna make it?
Yeah.
As
Like
people.
Yeah. What if we can't take everybody?
Yeah, the survival mentality can be a drawback, but at the same time, and I wanted to ask this too, because I'm getting ready to potentially have some land and not a good way to live on it, and have to figure out how to do come what may, make it. And so I sort of wonder if having that survival mentality is also a benefit in the sense that you just won't quit because you can't, like there's a determination to absolutely make it. It's sort of from the bottom, but it's something that, again, I'm getting ready to go through it. So
I'll actually liken this to basic training, at least for the Marines. In spurts, that survival instinct and getting yourself uncomfortable, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, that is amazing for the human body and our mind. It's important. Living like that every day destroys the human spirit. It just does. And there's a certain sense of hopelessness and despair that kind of takes root in communities that have nothing. I don't know how else to explain it. And this is one of the reasons why like irrational things happen in those sort of places, because people aren't in their right mind. They're not thinking rationally. Their whole life has been despair or hopelessness or this is my future. Growing up watching their big brothers, uncles, aunties, whatever, dude. And it's heartbreaking, really. Like,
Yeah,
you
so
know,
it can't be like you said, it can't be a long-term sustained thing.
can't
Otherwise
be.
it just
It's not productive in that capacity,
yeah.
right? Very few people will be able to endure that. Not that none can. Oh, there are people out there who are just tough as nails because God made them that way, and you know, I appreciate those kind of people. The world needs them. They're a lot of people's rock, but not everybody is that rock, you know. And even myself, man, I'm just back to why I kind of felt so attached to Cardano early on was because I got, dude, coming from that environment, we want better for ourselves, we want better for our community, we wanted whatever. I can't tell you how many times we would just sit around talking about that sort of stuff. We didn't have no actionables. We didn't know what to do, and we had no leadership to point us in the right direction. So within Cardano, we were able to find people who maybe weren't from that or weren't living that now, but maybe were from that, or maybe even were none of those things, but were just really good at empathizing and putting themselves in other people's shoes. And that right there, dude, like it doesn't matter what happens on Cardano. I'm here because of them. And I'm gonna stay here till they all leave. That's just the kind of person I am, right? So we needed the leadership, we needed the guidance, and a lot of times, you know, these conversations with mentors, we get slapped around, and then we should, because man, you can't be thinking like that. You can't be thinking this and that is an option or whatever. I don't appreciate what you said. We need that. Young men need that shit. We're very inflexible. I told Izzy when he told me the topic, he's like, man, it's crazy. You guys want me to talk about adaptability and adapting. I am so inflexible. Like it's not even funny, bro. And I know John has like bumped into that with me before. But you know, Izzy as well, dude. Like me and all my buddies have butted heads and bump knuckles sometimes, and you know, it is what it is. But I think if you give the right mentors the proper respect, even an inflexible person like me can learn to yield. And sometimes the dog's got to yield. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So,
Well, you've been a super influential person, I believe, in the Cardano space. I know that you and Charles Hoskinson haven't always seen eye to eye on things, and you know, definitely give you props for speaking your mind and having independent thoughts, because that's a very key and important thing. And I really respect everything that you've got to say. And man, I just really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk and share some of your story with us and with our listeners and everything else, man. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. You know, I'm gonna talk to you right after this.
for sure. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all gonna have to have me on again. I want to
For
tell
sure.
the whole story of Six City stripper coin to now to just the market shifting and kind of dive into the weeds of that and less about the backstory, you know. So
Yeah.
If it's all right with you guys, I'd like to close with something and just kind of. It's an interesting day to have any sort of conversation regarding politics, but I would encourage any of our listeners, don't let them divide us right now. We're supposed to fight that power. That's what this project's all about.
Right.
We free thinkers, we're able to disagree, but it does not ever need to come to violence like we've seen. So,
Amen.
as a perpetuator of violence at times, I can honestly say, man, this ain't the world we want to grow up and raise our kids in, bro. It's not. So my heart and prayers go out to the country right now, shit, leadership especially. And with that, I'll kind of refrain from any further commentary on it, but I appreciate y'all for having me on.
Amen. Amen. Much
Awesome.
love.
Thank you so much, Shaggy. And yeah, we'll definitely have you on again for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So we just finished talking with Shaggy Rax, and we were able to cover a lot of ground, and hope now everyone in the audience, sees the vision, hopefully. And yeah, it's not stopping. The marathon continues for sure. Shout out to him and shout out to the team. This has been an incredible journey so far.
Yeah, that was great. And I think that I think that we need to talk to him again, like he said, and
Oh yeah.
and definitely need to have Pseudo on here as well. I think that's I think that we need to talk to more members of the team, and there's going to be some great utility involved in crypto with what we're doing forward. But it really, at the end of the day, it's about relationships. It's about the people, about the value of things is, not just in cryptocurrency. It's in the actual real life things that we're doing. So.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. All of that in between.
Awesome, brother. Well, let's do that again. Let's do this next week.
Yeah, let's do it again next week. See you same time.
Same time, same place, man. Never give up the fight.
Sir. Never give up the fight, y'all.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test. Expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.